do our invocation and pledge, please.
You speaking? Precious Heavenly Father, we just ask that you be with us this evening as we prepare to listen to the community, Lord, in a decision that is heavy on our hearts, but we feel that we need to do what is best for the community and best for the school system. So we will listen to them with open hearts and make a decision that we feel is best for the school system. I just ask that you be with all those who are not here tonight, that you use them and their uplifting spirits to guide us, Lord. And I just pray for all the kids in the school system as we start a new year, that you just keep them all safe and keep all the teachers and staff safe, Lord, that we have a successful year and we keep everybody healthy and get them at home every day from school, Lord, so that they can enjoy another day with their families. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. At this time, I'll call this meeting to order. Just a few ground rules for those of you that this may be your first evening here. You get 3 minutes to speak if you've signed up to speak. When it gets close, sort of watch. If the 3 minutes is up, I'll kindly and politely tell you time's up, and if you would please sit down so the next person can speak. At this time, Dr. Harper.
Board members, we have Andrea Atkins that wants to address the board. Ms. Atkins.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
I graduated from the county school system. I raised a child in the county school system, and I'm currently raising a grandchild in the county school system. I represent the increasing population of grandparents raising grandchildren. We struggle just to maintain our homes and provide the necessities for our grandchildren. And we wouldn't do it any other way. We love it, but it is a struggle. Many grandparents are seniors on fixed income, and many don't have the resources that some of us do. I also represent the long-term unemployed in Bartow County. I lost my last full-time job 4.5 years ago and have been unable to secure full-time employment since then. I currently work about 20 hours a week at part-time jobs, cleaning and doing odd jobs to support my grandchild that I'm raising. Everything is going up. Groceries, power. I just got the second highest power bill this year. I opened it yesterday. Water, just the general cost of living is going up. Yet many of us are bringing home less money. We're working less hours. Our income is significantly cut. So any kind of increase, taxes, we just had a huge property tax, which was quite a shock to many of us. It really hurts, and it really makes a difference. Driving here on down Tennessee Street this evening, the closed businesses, the businesses going out of business, it just speaks to the current state of our economy. The few jobs coming into Bartow County are going to fewer and fewer people. Businesses are bringing employees with them, and they're given tax breaks that are shifted to families to provide that burden for. This is how we live. I don't think I am an exception. I think I represent a broad range of Bartow County. Grandparents, unemployed, and people, families just struggling in general to make it. This is how we live. I'm not speaking flippantly or casually tonight. I'm speaking my heart sincerely on just being able to survive, let alone another tax increase. I would be against this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Board members, Mr. Tom McHenry.
My comment, before I make my comment, I'd like to give you a little bit of background. I've lived in Bartow County for 20 years. I've owned property here for 25 years. And over that time, I think I've probably paid, I did a quick estimate, about somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 in property tax to the school system. And incredibly, this is the first time I've ever set foot, or any of my family has ever set foot in a Bartow County school property. And I've never attended board meetings or made any issues of the school tax. But I want to take this opportunity to comment on the exemption for seniors. And I know the county and the government likes to look frequently at, well, we compare our tax to other counties and we're lower and everything. And I'd like the board in future years, not obviously this cycle is too late, to take a hard look at analyzing the exemption for seniors for school tax. As you probably know, many counties it's zero, and I don't think it should be zero. I think seniors should have to pay to support the system, and it's an investment in the future, and I think it's our obligation as a senior citizen. But I don't know what the right number is. I don't know whether the $40,000 exemption that we currently have is the right number. Some would argue that it should be zero. Some would argue it should be 100%. I'm not sure what the right number is, but I'd like the board to take a hard look at that, because it's been set at that value for a long time. And you also need to look at the age requirements too. I've done some research on this, and some counties have a tier approach where when you reach 70, it drops to a certain, or you get a certain increase in exemption. One thing is common denominator in all the governments, whether it's the federal, the state, or the local government, is the argument for raising taxes is always, well, we can't cut anymore. We don't have any place else to cut the budget. But nobody ever comes to the public and asks the public, especially senior citizens, where they're going to make the cuts to pay the taxes. So that's my comment. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, board members. Mr. Lewis DeBrow.
Dr. Harper, Chairman Nelson, and members of the board, last week I addressed you expressing my opposition to the millage rate increase of almost 15%. At that time, I expressed my concern that the board was planning on raising the millage rate without having done the due diligence one would expect before burdening the taxpayers further. Dr. Harper, I pointed out that your salary of $205,720 per year is $80,000 per year more than the state school superintendent makes, and roughly 5 times the average annual income of the families in Bartow County who pay that salary. This included the $13,000 raise you received last year. After doing some further research on opengeorgia.gov, I found some additional information which might be of interest. In addition to your salary, there are more than 350 employees earning more than $60,000 per year, including roughly 200 teachers or instructional specialists, which is about 30% more than the average family in Bartow, whose taxes will be increased as a result of this millage rate hike. Now, I want to be very clear about something. I know very few of the people whose salaries I have cited personally, and in doing so, it is not my intention to disparage them or to imply that they are not doing a wonderful job for our children, just the opposite. Most people I speak to with children in the system are pleased with the quality of education in Bartow. What I am saying is that personnel costs are the single largest budget outlay for our school system, and if we are to ever get control of these rising costs, we must address personnel costs. We can't just keep doing what government always does when it finds it has more money going out than coming in, which is to raise taxes. What I'm also saying is that the people whose taxes are being raised are in most cases earning far less than the people whose salaries our taxes are being raised to fund. And since the millage rate increase only hits property owners and not renters, we are hit disproportionately with the burden of that increase. The Bartow school system spent roughly $750,000 last year in wages for substitute teachers. If my information is correct regarding substitute teachers' pay scales, that translates into roughly 10,000 missed days. This may be one area that we can look at to cut costs. Children's needs include more than just education. It includes food, clothing, shelter, transportation, and other things. Every dollar taken out of the pockets of the taxpayers in Bartow is a dollar taken away from our children's other needs. More importantly, those dollars have to be covered somehow, and for most of us, that means working more hours or picking up a second job. This means we are spending more time away from our children, and nothing is more important to raising upstanding, responsible citizens than the love and nurturing of their parents. Have we truly done right by our children if in the pursuit of more money for education, we have taken the parents away from the children more often? For these reasons, I would implore the board to reconsider its decision to raise the millage rate, and instead to take a closer look at how costs could be streamlined. This is the third public hearing, and thus far, the overwhelming majority of citizens have spoken in opposition to the increase because of the burden it will place on us. In fact, I believe there's only been one that spoke in favor. For that reason, I join my voice in their opposition.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Board members, Mr. Paul Dowling.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Unfortunately, I told you the last time I was here that I understood it, but I didn't like it. I understand it a little better. I like it even less. I did have an occasion to call Standards and Poor's about this AA rating that you've got and their negative view of it. And although it's probably not going to drop much, if it does any at all next year, it's still not going to look good. Ladies and gentlemen, this board saw this, should have seen this problem coming back in 2008. Anytime we have that kind of an economic depression, it's going to take a long time to come out of it. And I can't understand for the life of me why building projects went on, even though it's not coming out of the money that we're talking about here tonight. The problem is those building projects had to be done, had to be filled with staff and maintenance people. Why couldn't you have increased class size? I understand the average class size in this county is around 13 to 15. I remember Cartersville High School, 25 kids was the norm. We didn't seem to have a problem. I guess once I consider everything, it appears that this year we're going to be saddled with this 19% tax rate. But hopefully you'll give serious consideration to cutting back on staffing, get back, if nothing else, to a quality basic education, reading, writing, and arithmetic. But we can't keep going like this. 19 mills isn't going to get that reserve fund built back up. Somebody's got to step up and make some hard decisions. If it means we have to go to skeleton staff, maybe for 3 or 4 years, that's what we need to do. Even if it means stop having football games on Friday nights for 2 years. Somebody's going to have to make a hard decision, because we're not going to live with these increased taxes or any more deceptive advocacy from some politicians saying, well, we didn't raise the taxes. Oh, but the valuations went up sky high. We understand that. We understand the deceptiveness of it. And I don't think there's many folks out here that like it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Board members, Mr. Charles Lowry.
Excuse me.
Excuse you.
I'll apologize, was running around with my grandkids. I didn't have time to bring what I wanted to bring, but thank you for the opportunity to speak anyway. I don't like the fact that our taxes are going up any more than anybody else, but I think what we need to do is maybe be a little more conciliatory and try and work together to bring this problem under control. Somebody mentioned earlier about the new businesses coming in, bringing employees with them. If a new business comes in, it needs more jobs. That's great, and I'm addressing the people behind me as well as in front. It means children in schools. It means higher classroom attendance. The money has to come from someplace. My point is that when a company comes in here with 300, 400, 500 people, they're going to bring kids. They negotiate what's called an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, which is negotiated by the Joint Development Authority, as I understand it. And again, my first note here is, second note is I don't know much about what I'm talking about. I do know that I've read some of these MOUs, and they abate school taxes as well as property taxes. If a company, German, wherever, and the last couple did not abate the school tax, comes in here and gets abated school taxes over a 10, 15-year period, that money has to come from someplace. And it's generally speaking going to come out of somebody else's pocket. If they bring some people in and pay them, they'll pay some taxes. They'll shop at Kroger, they'll shop at Publix, they'll maybe buy a car. The problem I have is that company may or may not be paying any school tax. The point I have to make is we, as a community, need to let the Development Authority know that, and speaking for myself, I'm tired of school tax abatements, and I think it should stop. If another company comes in here, I think the pressure needs to put on the powers that be that sign these agreements that there will be no school tax abatement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, Mr. Bruce Poole.
Thank you for letting me speak. The last time I was here last week, I spoke about how valuations of the county have all gone up with no seemingly basis in fact of where they're getting their valuations from, which makes everybody's tax bill go up. And then the school board wants to raise the millage rate to make our tax bill go even higher. I'm opposed to the tax rate increase, and I believe that the school board should look more at cutting in unnecessary expenses. Lewis stole my thunder about the $700,000 plus being spent, if that's a correct figure, in substitute teacher pay. I think teachers have a generous time off, and that seems like an extremely high number. If it's correct, and it's an area that can be looked at. Also, the only proposal on the table is a tax increase, and no other information has been offered to cut expenses. So I would seriously think about not voting for this tax increase, seeing how the overwhelming majority of the public is against it. Also, I think it's doesn't speak well of the board that you're having these meetings, number one, on election day, number two, at 5 o'clock, when people are trying to get out and vote, and also many working people can't get to these meetings. Luckily, I work at night, so I was able to attend these past couple of meetings. So it appears that the board is setting this up that no matter what the public says, that you're going to increase this, make this tax increase simply by the fact that you've got these meetings, so it makes it difficult for the public to attend and voice their opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Harper.
Mr. Roger Young.
I wish to express my opposition to this tax increase, not just for myself, but it affects one way or another every resident of this county. And every time there's a tax increase, it's supposed to be directed at a certain area, for example, the benefit of the children. And yet, I see increases in salary versus going to the direct benefit of the children. And I've had 4 of my children go to schools here in Bartow County, plus I've got grandchildren going to school here. And I don't see where their education is getting any better. In fact, if anything, I think it's getting worse. And I'm in direct opposition to providing more monies to the school system in order to increase salaries, when why don't the board and the president and whoever else, why don't they offer to take a salary reduction like the rest of the people are having to do? Because in effect, that's what the residents of this county are being asked to do by having a tax increase. Our incomes are going down. So what's to keep y'all from having your incomes go down. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Dr. Harper.
April Harris.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
I represent many of the staff and teachers for Bartow County. I am a proud teacher at Cass Middle School. I have been teaching at Cass Middle School for 6 years. While I am against any kind of tax increase, I am in favor of increasing the millage rate simply because I know it will in the end benefit every student in the county. For the past 5 years, we have unfortunately had to suffer tremendous cuts, not only to the staff, but to the resources that teachers have to better student education. And the teachers have absorbed those losses, taking it out of their own pockets to make sure that the student's education did not suffer. As a teacher, I have absorbed numerous costs so that my students did not suffer, and I will always continue to do so. But I'm asking that you consider and approve the resolution that is on the table, which is to raise the millage so that resources can continue to be made for our students and that further cuts will be avoided. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Harper.
Robin Morrow.
Good evening, Dr. Harper and board members. Thank you for giving me the moment to speak this evening. I'm a resident here in Bartow County as well as a teacher here since 2001. I'm speaking on behalf of many teachers and parents and residents that I've spoken with in the recent weeks regarding the proposed millage rate increase. During my teaching career, I have seen firsthand the impact of the budget cuts. I was impacted by the RIP in 2009 and faced the uncertainty of employment. Class sizes have increased, money for extra programs has been eliminated, supplies have become scarce, and the number of support staff has decreased. Throughout this time, we have all continued to meet the needs of all of our students. My paycheck today is less than it was in 2008, and I've earned a specialist degree during that time, but it hasn't made an impact. I have a part-time job as a supervisor at a restaurant here in the county to help supplement my income. In addition to myself, I have 3 employees who are also Bartow County employees. I have received numerous requests from other employees needing additional income and wanting a part-time job, but we just don't have room. I realize that no one wants to have higher taxes, but I fear the results of not increasing the millage rate will have a greater effect on our expenses later. Students who do not receive a rigorous and well-rounded education in a classroom where they get the individual attention that they need may cost our community and taxpayers here in Bartow County and even more later. In closing, we just want to, I and some of the other teachers just wanted to come out and support you and hope that you will make the best decision in fighting for what our students need here in Bartow County. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Harper.
Allison Guyton.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to say, if you may recall, that I did email y'all at this point in time last year in support of the tax increase. I know y'all have a hard job to do, but I'm in favor of it if the funds are going to be appropriated correctly, and I do not think that's happening. I think our teachers do work your tails off and genuinely love the children that you take care of. I do not think the leadership in our county is appropriating the funds back into the classrooms like it needs to be. That is the problem I have. I think all of the actions about the calendar, the budget, the tax issues has been so blatantly calculated and deceitful over the past 2 months, it's frankly disgusting. 1 month you're recommending we add back to the 180 days of instruction time as if we have the funds to cover it, and then the next month you're asking for a 13% tax increase from the taxpayers. That is ridiculous. 3%, 5% might be a little easier for us to swallow, but 13%, the community cannot absorb that. The economy has not picked up that wheel. I don't see anybody asking any questions, so here's a few that I'd like answered, and Dr. Harper, I will email this to you tomorrow. First of all, where'd the 3-minute time limit come from? I couldn't find that anywhere. I haven't heard any of the board members asking questions or seen anything in the newspaper where they've asked any questions, but we've been running in deficit spending now for a number of years. The staff being the vast majority of the budget, but there's not been any continual yearly budget staff cuts. The article in the newspaper 2 years ago, I guess, was the last staff cut with 2 bus mechanics. Everything else was 3 to 4 years ago as far as staff cuts go. Dr. Harper mentioned in the newspaper article too about the city schools going to 7 class periods as we did, but they're having their teachers to teach 6 class periods. He didn't want to burden our teachers with that. I have an idea. He said we could get rid of 35 to 45 teachers if we did that. And we all know that there are some underproductive, useless teachers in our schools out there. We could get rid of, say, 15 per our 3 high schools and hire some secretaries in to do the grading of the papers and enter them into a power school and take that secretarial type of work away from the teachers and let our teachers teach and focus on teaching. And then we could take that budget cut and pay a secretary a lot less than what we're paying these teachers, and that could be a huge help to the budget. How about the after-school programs that's at the elementary schools? Are they self-sufficient, supplying this basic babysitting service at the elementary schools? Or is there a cost attributed to the system?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Hartman.
Kim Wagnon.
Good evening. First thing I want to say is I oppose this tax increase. And the reason I oppose this tax increase is that a lot of people did not realize, and myself included, that I would be getting an unexpected July bill for the last one 6 months ago, and I'm a Republican that is against tax increases. And I moved here to a Republican state because I believe in y'all. But when I get a bill and I'm a grandmother raising my grandson as a single parent with special needs, $250, and my house payment goes up $25. It goes according to how much your house increases. You raising this is going to put me in another deficit, which takes away time where and money that needs in house repairs, my electricity, things that my grandson needs. We already have to pay the things that I didn't have to pay for when my kids were growing up, was toilet paper, paper towels, paper, printer paper. I don't mind that. And if I thought this economy in this county could afford this tax increase, I would be for it. I am for the teachers. I believe they work hard. They love our children. I've been fortunate with Jaden's teachers. They've been wonderful, and he's advanced and he's thriving. But I do not believe that any of this would benefit them. I don't think it's going to go into the rooms. The other thing I want to address is the elephant in this room, is the lawsuits that came in court because of this board of inappropriate behaviors that have not been addressed. And that is the real reason, I believe, and it needs to come out to the public, that the losing of these lawsuits has cost taxpayers money. And that is the story really behind this. I think we need to investigate it more. I know for a fact that y'all settled, and they deserve to win. I didn't choose to do a lawsuit 3 years ago. with the proof that I have in my hands, because I didn't want to hit the taxpayers. Because it's not going to hit your budgets and your wallets. It's going to hit all of ours. But this needs to be addressed, and it needs to be public. The amounts of lawsuits, and that's why we're really picking up the tab. I want to know exactly how much we are being hit for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clive Smart.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I was employed by Bartow County Schools for 23 years, and I'm for a tax increase. I look at Cass High School. We have a wonderful media specialist, and our media centre at Cass High School has been reduced from 3 people to 1 hard-working media specialist. We're told that we need to compete with the rest of the world. Our students in the United States go 33 days less than students in Western Europe and 73 days less than Japan. But I'm proud to say I'm an American citizen now, and I love my country, I love my queen, but I know which country I'm better off in. There's the same old problem in America, and I've been here for 34 years, that everybody wants the services, nobody wants to pay the taxes. As they say in Yorkshire, England, the old Yorkshire say, you get out for now, you'll get out for now. Everybody wants the services, nobody wants to pay the taxes. It's the same old problem. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but President George W. Bush and our current president will stop worrying about illegal aliens coming over our border and start putting money into education for people who are legally in the United States. Then we'll be a whole lot better off. We need to stop all this nonsense a long time ago. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I'm for the tax increase because we cannot keep on cutting. And all these folks that make teachers, about lazy teachers getting secretaries. I'm sorry, folks, you haven't got the foggiest idea. And if Bartow County Schools had paid me for all the hours that I put in, money that I put into my time with Bartow County Schools, I'd have bankrupted you a long time ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr.
Bill Ingerhart.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm talking because with this over my mouth because I had dental surgery today and I'm still a little numb. Plus I'm missing my front plate until it gets so I can be here tonight. Since we only had 3 minutes, I'm going to read the notes that I have put together. First of all, I'm not in favor of increasing our school taxes or increasing them by as much as 13%. Where is a report for all the citizens of Bartow to evaluate and to show us exactly how this came about and how this is justified to increase our taxes? People that are on fixed incomes, the unemployed, as well as seniors who are on limited resources do not have the funds to pay for a 13% increase. What happened to the $20 million that was in the Bartow Board of Education Reserve Fund just a very few years ago? What happened to it all? How was it spent? Who authorized those funds to be used? And what were they used for? How many lawsuits were paid out of those funds? Bartow Board of Education is run like the Veterans